He wasn't looking at her. He was reaching for a glass of water. When he saw it, dark fingerprints around her wrist.
I am fine.
The Korean Mafia boss slowly lifted his eyes.
Doctor, I need Zara's
Who did
medical
this to
history.
you?
It's urgent.
And
Please
that's when he
send it over
noticed the
now.
bandage. White gauze wrapped
I need a
around her left
restraining
hand.
order for Zara. Prepare it
Tight,
immediately. I'll send the
professional,
details.
but not tight enough to hide the swelling. Dark purple bruises spread across her knuckles beneath the wrapping.
I love
2
you.
fingers taped
I
together.
love you too.
She held her hand carefully, pressing it to her side, as if
I grew up in a
protecting it
criminal
from the
family.
world.
I grew up very
Welcome
poorly.
back to AfroKorean Story
We
Vault.
both survived.
If you love
Your hand is
powerful
injured.
stories
Go
about
and rest
protection
until
and
you're better.
consequences,
Thank you, sir.
tap like
Resume when
and
you're
subscribe
fully
now.
recovered.
Let's get into it. Kang
won't
Min
bother
Jae
you
had
again.
built an empire
I
on
know,
noticing
I trust
things
you.
other people missed.
I need
Body
a restraining
language,
order for Zara.
micro
Prepare it immediately.
expressions,
I'll send the details.
the small tells that revealed what people
I need a
desperately wanted to
restraining order
hide.
for Zara. Prepare
And
it
Zara
immediately.
Thompson,
I'll send the
25
details.
years old, Black American from Houston, working as his housekeeper for the past 3 months, was trying very hard to hide something. She'd walked into his office that Tuesday morning to collect the breakfast dishes like she did every morning. Professional. Efficient. Moving with the careful precision of someone who'd learned to be invisible in wealthy households. But this morning was different. She carried the tray one-handed. Right hand doing all the work while her left hand stayed pressed carefully against her side. Protected. Guarded. And when she'd reached forward to hand him his water glass, he'd seen them. Dark bruises circling her wrist. Purple and green and yellow, different stages of healing. The exact width and pattern of large fingers. Someone had grabbed her. Hard. Recently. But it was the bandage that made him go very still inside. White medical gauze wrapped around her left hand from wrist to knuckles. Professional hospital wrapping. The kind that said emergency room, not home first aid. Swelling visible even through the layers. 2 fingers taped together for stability. This wasn't a minor injury. This was broken bones. Min Jae set down his pen. Watched her try to collect the dishes one-handed. Watched her wince when she forgot and tried to use her left hand. Watched her quickly shift the weight back to her right side. Stop. His voice cut through the quiet morning routine. Not loud. Command lived in tone, not volume. Zara froze. Tray balanced precariously in her right hand. She didn't look up. Put that down. She set the tray on the side table. Carefully. Every movement measured. Controlled. Turn around and look at me. She turned slowly. Kept her eyes down. Professional distance. The way household staff were trained to maintain boundaries with employers. But Min Jae wasn't looking at her eyes. He was looking at the way she held her injured hand against her body. The careful, pained way she positioned herself. The bruises on her wrist that told a story of violence. Of someone grabbing her hard enough to leave marks that would last weeks. Show me your hand. Mr. Kong, it's nothing. I just. Show me your hand, Zara. The use of her first name made her look up. Met his eyes for the first time. Saw something there that made her breath catch. Not anger. Not yet. Something colder. More dangerous. The look of a man who'd just been given a problem to solve. And Min Jae solved problems with brutal efficiency. She brought her left hand forward slowly. Extended it between them like evidence in a trial. The bandage was clean. Fresh. Changed recently. But the damage underneath was obvious. Her knuckles were swollen to twice their normal size. Dark purple bruising visible around the edges of the gauze. 2 fingers, index and middle, taped together to prevent movement. Defensive wound. Min Jae had seen enough violence in his 30 years to recognize the pattern. Someone had thrown a punch. She'd blocked it. Broken bones in her hand doing it. What happened? His voice was calm. Controlled. But underneath was a current of cold fury. I fell. Caught myself wrong on the. Don't lie to me. The words were soft. Deadly soft. Zara went very still. Something in her recognized the danger. Recognized that lying to this man was a mistake people didn't usually get to make twice. Min Jae stood. Walked around his desk with deliberate slowness. Each step measured. Controlled. He stopped 3 feet from her. Close enough to see every detail. Far enough not to crowd. Not to make her feel trapped. I've seen thousands of injuries in my life, he said quietly. Falls. Accidents. Self-defense. Violence. His eyes traced the bandage, the bruising, the way she held herself. I know what each one looks like. The pattern. The damage. The story they tell. He gestured at her hand. That's not a fall. That's defensive. Someone threw a punch aimed at your face. You put your hand up to block it. Broke bones doing it. Am I wrong? Zara's jaw tightened. It's personal, Mr. Kong. Not your concern. You work in my home. Live in my building. That makes it absolutely my concern. I can handle it. Can you? He gestured at her hand again. Is this the first time he's hurt you? She didn't answer. Didn't need to. The answer was written in her silence. In the way she looked away. In the resignation that settled over her features. Not the first time. Just the first time she couldn't hide it. Who? Min Jae asked. Voice still calm. Still controlled. But underneath was something that sounded like death. Mr. Kong, I appreciate the concern, but. His name, Zara. She met his eyes again. Saw that cold calculation. That dangerous focus. Marcus Davis, she said quietly. My ex-boyfriend. He followed me from Houston. Found out where I work. Where I live. He's been, she paused, searching for the right word. Persistent. Persistent. Min Jae repeated the word like he was tasting poison. Finding it inadequate for what it described. And violent. He tried to, she stopped. Started again. Voice steadier now. 3 days ago. He cornered me outside my apartment. Said we needed to talk. I said no. He got angry. Threw a punch at my face. I blocked it. Broke my hand. She looked at the bandage. Doctor said 3 bones. Metacarpals. 6 weeks minimum healing time. Possibly longer. He tried to punch you in the face. You protected yourself. Broke bones doing it. Yes. And the bruises on your wrist? From before. 2 weeks ago. He grabbed me. Tried to drag me into his car. I got away but, she touched the bruises lightly. He doesn't know his own strength. Or maybe he does. I'm not sure which is worse. Min Jae was very quiet for a long moment. Processing. Categorizing. Building a complete picture of the threat. You filed a police report? Yes. Both times. They said without witnesses or video evidence, it's hard to, she stopped. I'm working on getting a restraining order. My lawyer says it should be approved within a piece of paper. His voice was flat. Final. You think a piece of paper will stop a man who's already assaulted you twice? Who broke bones in your hand? Who's following you across continents? It's the legal way to. I don't care about the legal way. The office went very quiet. Zara stared at him. At this man who ran one of Seoul's most powerful underground organizations. Who she'd worked for in careful, professional silence for 3 months. Who'd never been anything but polite and distant. who was now looking at her broken hand like someone had just declared war on him personally. "What are you going to do?" she asked. Min Jae's expression was perfectly calm. Perfectly controlled. The calm of a man who'd already made his decision and was simply working through logistics. "Something brutal," he said quietly. "Something that makes sure Marcus Davis understands exactly what happens when you touch people under my protection. I'm just your housekeeper. You're someone who works in my home. Lives in my building. That makes you mine to protect." His voice was absolute. Certain. He violated that. Made you afraid in a place that should be safe. Broke bones in your hand. That, he paused, is unacceptable. Mr. Khan. Go home, Zara. Rest. You're on leave until your hand heals. Full pay. And you're not working with a broken hand anyway. I don't need. This isn't a discussion. He turned back to his desk. I'm handling this. Today. And when I'm done, Marcus Davis will understand that touching you again would be the last mistake he ever makes. She should argue. Should tell him no. Should remind him that violence wasn't the answer. But looking at her bandaged hand. At the bruises on her wrist. At the fear she'd been carrying for weeks. She didn't argue. She just asked, "What are you going to do to him?" Min Jae looked at her. Eyes cold and empty. Make him understand consequences. The moment Zara left his office, Min Jae made 5 phone calls. The first was to Park Sung-min, his head of security. "I need a complete file on Marcus Davis. American. Late 20s. Ex-military. Currently in Seoul. Find everything. Employment. Address. Associates. Movement patterns. Criminal history both US and Korea. Financials. Everything. 2 hours. Consider it done." The second call was to his lawyer. "I need a restraining order filed today. Emergency basis. Marcus Davis against Zara Thompson. I'm sending you her medical records and police reports within the hour. Make it airtight. Mr. Khan, emergency restraining orders require. I don't care what they require. Make it happen. Today." The third call was to someone whose name he didn't say. Spoke in rapid Korean. "I need a location tonight. Private. Secure. Somewhere we can have a conversation without interruptions." A pause. "No. Not that kind of conversation. The other kind. The kind where people learn lessons they don't forget." The fourth call was to his doctor. "I need Zara Thompson's medical records from Seoul National University Hospital. Hand injury. 3 days ago. I'm listed as her emergency contact and employer. Send them to my secure email." He'd lied about being her emergency contact. But his doctor wouldn't question it. Wouldn't risk losing a client who paid very well for discretion. The fifth call was back to Park. "When you finish that file, I need eyes on Marcus Davis. Real time. Where he is. What he's doing. I want to know his exact location at all times. Are we bringing him in? Tonight. Make it look like an opportunity. Job interview. High-paying security position. Something he can't refuse. Text me when you have him." Min Jae hung up. Sat back in his chair. Steepled his fingers. Marcus Davis had made a critical error in judgment. He'd hurt someone Min Jae protected. In Min Jae's city. In Min Jae's territory. That wasn't just unacceptable. That was personal. And Min Jae handled personal matters with extreme prejudice. 2 hours later, Park appeared with a thick folder. Min Jae read it in silence. Absorbing every detail. Marcus Davis. 28 years old. Former U.S. Army. Dishonorable discharge after 3 years, assault on a fellow soldier. Domestic violence complaints in Houston. 3 different women. All charges dropped when victims refused to testify. Pattern of escalating violence. Started with controlling behavior. Progressed to grabbing. Pushing. Eventually hitting. All 3 previous girlfriends had defensive wounds. Broken hands. Broken wrists. Broken arms. Always from blocking punches aimed at their faces. He targeted women's faces. They blocked. He broke their defensive limbs. Every single time. He's done this before, Min-jae said quietly. Multiple times. At least 3 confirmed cases, Park confirmed. Probably more that weren't reported. He has a type. Strong women. Independent. Women who try to leave him. He escalates until they break. Physically and psychologically. Current employment. Security contractor. Foreign company in Gangnam. Makes decent money. Lives alone in Itaewon. Frequents expat bars. Known to drink heavily. 2 bar fights in the past 6 months, both times he started it. Criminal history here. Clean on paper. But he's paying someone for that. We found sealed records. Bribes to make things disappear. Min-jae closed the folder. He's been stalking Zara for how long? We found evidence going back 6 weeks. He arrived in Seoul 2 months ago. Tracked her through social media. Found her employer through a delivery photo she posted. Our building was visible in the background. So he came to Seoul specifically to find her. Appears so. Min-jae was quiet for a long moment. He's dangerous. Trained. Combat experience. Yes. This isn't like dealing with regular civilians. He knows how to fight. I don't care what he knows. Min-jae's voice was cold. Absolutely flat. Set up the meeting. Tell him it's a private security consultation. High-paying client. Tonight. 11 p.m. That warehouse in Yongsan we use for sensitive conversations. Park nodded. And if he brings backup? He won't. Men like him don't think they need backup. They think they're the most dangerous thing in any room. Min-jae smiled. No warmth in it. He's about to learn exactly how wrong that assumption is. At 6 p.m., Min-jae went to Zara's apartment. She answered the door looking surprised. Mr. Kong. I need to talk to you. May I come in? She stepped aside. Let him into her small, neat apartment. Everything organized. Practical. The space of someone who didn't have much but took care of what she had. That I'm meeting with Marcus tonight. Min-jae said without preamble. I wanted to ask if you want to be there. Zara went very still. Be there for what? When I make sure he understands that touching you again would be the worst decision of his life. You're going to hurt him. Yes. How badly? He broke 3 bones in your hand. I'm going to break both of his. Completely. Every finger. Every knuckle. Until he understands exactly what he did to you. He said it calmly. Factually. Like describing a business transaction. Zara stared at him. That's brutal. Yes. I told you it would be. I meant illegal. Also yes. Which is why I'm asking if you want to be there. No one will know. No cameras. No witnesses except my people. You can watch. Or not. Your choice. She should say no. Should tell him this was insane. Should remind him that she didn't want violence done on her behalf. But she looked at her bandaged hand. At the bruises on her wrist. At the fear that had followed her for 2 months across an ocean and a continent. "I want to be there," she said quietly. "Zara." "You asked." "I'm answering. I want to see his face when he realizes he can't hurt me anymore. When he understands that I'm not alone. That someone actually," her voice caught. "That someone actually gives a damn." Min-jae studied her for a long moment. "All right. But you stay behind my security. You watch. You don't engage. And if it becomes too much, you leave. Agreed?" "Agreed. We leave at 10:30. She nodded. He turned to go. Stopped at the door. "Zara?" "Yes." "What he did to you, what he's been doing to you, it ends tonight. Permanently. You have my word." "Why?" she asked. "Why do you care this much?" He was quiet for a moment. "Because no one should be afraid in their own life. And I have the power to make sure you're not. So I will." He left before she could respond. The warehouse in Yongsan was empty except for 7 people. Min-jae. Park. 3 security guards. Min-jae. Park. 3 security guards. Zara. And Marcus Davis. 5 minutes late. Walked in with the confident swagger of a man who thought he was the most dangerous person in any room. Saw Min-jae standing in the center of the concrete floor. Expensive suit. Hands in pockets. Expression neutral. Saw the security guards flanking him. Professional. Alert. Armed, bulges visible under their jackets. Saw Zara standing 30 feet back. Left hand bandaged. Right hand clenched into a fist. Watching him with an expression he'd never seen before. Not fear. Something harder. Colder. Marcus's entire demeanor changed. Went from confident to cautious in half a second. "What is this?" he asked. Voice hard. "Suspicious." "A conversation," Min-jae said calmly. "About hands. And what happens when you break them? I don't know what you're. You punched at Zara's face 3 days ago. She blocked it. Broke 3 bones in her hand doing it. Before that, you grabbed her wrist hard enough to leave bruises. Before that, Min-jae pulled out his phone. Read from it. You cornered her in Houston. Pushed her against a wall. Grabbed her throat. She filed a police report. You disappeared before they could arrest you." Marcus's jaw tightened. "That's between me and her. Not your business." "Wrong. She works for me. Lives in my building. That makes it absolutely my business." "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who solves problems." Min-jae's voice stayed perfectly calm. "And you, Marcus Davis, have become a problem. This is insane. I'm calling." He reached for his phone. Park moved. Fast. Military fast. Had Marcus's arm twisted behind his back before he could complete the motion. Phone clattered across concrete. Marcus tried to fight back. Army training kicking in. Elbow strike. Foot sweep. Movements sharp and practiced. Park blocked everything. Professionally. Efficiently. Then drove Marcus face first into the concrete floor. Held him there with a knee between his shoulder blades. Park blocked everything. Professionally. Efficiently. Then drove Marcus face first into the concrete floor. Held him there with a knee between his shoulder blades. Min-jae walked over. Crouched down. Eye level with Marcus, who was struggling to breathe through a mouth full of concrete dust and fury. "I'm going to explain something to you," Min-jae said quietly. "You have a pattern. You target strong women. Independent women. Women who try to leave you. And when they do, you escalate. Control. Intimidation. Violence. You aim for their faces. They block. You break their hands. Their wrists. Their arms. You're threatening me. I'm educating you. Min Jae's voice stayed perfectly calm. Educational. 3 previous girlfriends. All with defensive injuries. All from blocking punches you threw at their faces. Zara makes 4. Except, he paused. Zara is different. How? Because she's mine to protect. And I don't let people hurt what's mine. He gestured. Park hauled Marcus up. Forced him to his knees. Hands zip-tied in front of him. Deliberately in front. So he could see what was coming. Marcus's eyes went wide. Wait. You broke 3 bones in her hand, Min Jae said. Voice still calm. Reasonable. 3 bones because she tried to protect her face from your fist. That's cowardice. That's brutality. That's someone who hits women because that's the only place he has power. I didn't. You did. Medical records confirm it. Defensive fractures. Classic pattern. I have the X-rays if you'd like to see them. Min Jae stood. Looked at Park. Nodded. Park took Marcus's right hand. Placed it flat on the concrete. Palm down. Fingers spread. No. Park stomped. The sound was sickening. Multiple cracks. Bones breaking. Lots of bones. Marcus screamed. But Park wasn't done. Took the left hand. Same process. Same brutal efficiency. Both hands. Completely destroyed. Every knuckle. Every finger. Every small bone in the hand shattered. Marcus was sobbing. Gasping. Hands ruined in front of him. Useless. Min Jae crouched again. Eye level with a man learning what consequences felt like. She broke 3 bones blocking 1 punch. You just had both hands completely destroyed. 8 bones per hand. 16 total. Plus all the small bones. Metacarpals. Phalanges. All of them. Please. You'll need multiple surgeries. Months of recovery. Physical therapy. And you'll never, Min Jae paused. Let the words sink in. You'll never have full use of your hands again. Nerve damage. Scar tissue. Permanent disability. The same way Zara will never have full use of her left hand again. I'll go to the police. And tell them what? That you were assaulted. By who? Me. Min Jae smiled. No warmth. I'm a legitimate businessman. Respected. Connected. You're a dishonorable discharge with a history of domestic violence and stalking. Who do you think they'll believe? Marcus was gasping. Eyes streaming. Hands destroyed. You have 2 choices, Min Jae said quietly. Leave Seoul. Tonight. Go back to the US. Get your hands fixed there. Never come back. Never contact Zara. Never even think her name. Or, he paused. You stay. And I have Park break every other bone in your body. Slowly. Methodically. Until there's nothing left that works. I'll leave. Tonight? Yes. God, yes, just, make it stop. And you'll never come back. Never contact her. Never touch another woman as long as you live. Never. I swear. I'll leave. Just, please. Min Jae stood. Looked at Park. Get him medical attention. Enough to travel. Then put him on a plane. First flight to anywhere in the US. I don't care where. Just make sure he leaves Korea. And if he comes back, then we finish this conversation. Permanently. Park nodded. Cut the zip ties. Called for medical support. Min-jae walked to Zara. Stopped in front of her. She was shaking. But her eyes were dry. Clear. Are you all right? He asked quietly. Yes. Her voice was steady. Yes. Thank you, I told you I'd handle it. You broke both his hands. He broke yours. Fair is fair. Actually, Min-jae paused. I was generous. He only broke 3 of your bones. I broke 16 of his. Call it interest. She almost laughed. Almost. That's not how most people define fair. I'm not most people. No. You're really not. They stood there. Marcus being dragged away behind them. Sobbing. Broken. Understanding finally what happened when you hurt someone who had real protection. What happens now? Zara asked. Now you go home. Sleep. Live your life without looking over your shoulder. He's gone. He's not coming back. And if anyone else ever, Min-jae's jaw tightened. If anyone else ever touches you, you tell me immediately. And I handle it. Understood? Understood. He drove her home. Walked her to her door. Made sure she got inside safely. Get some rest, he said. You too. I don't sleep much. Maybe you should. Maybe. He turned to leave. Min-jae. She'd never used his first name before. He stopped. Looked back. Thank you. For everything. For caring when you didn't have to. I did have to. He paused. Searching for the right words. You're worth protecting. He left before she could respond. But the words stayed with her. You're worth protecting. No one had ever said that to her before. Marcus Davis left Seoul that night. Park personally escorted him to Incheon Airport. Hands wrapped in temporary casts. Face pale with pain and shock. Watched him board a flight to Los Angeles at 6 a.m. Confirmed the plane took off. Sent a photo to Min-jae of Marcus's boarding pass and empty seat after departure. He turned to leave. Min-jae. She'd never used his first name before. He stopped. Looked back. Thank you. For everything. For caring when you didn't have to. I did have to. He paused. Searching for the right words. You're worth protecting. He left before she could respond. But the words stayed with her. You're worth protecting. No one had ever said that to her before. Marcus Davis left Seoul that night. Park personally escorted him to Incheon Airport. Hands wrapped in temporary casts. Face pale with pain and shock. Watched him board a flight to Los Angeles at 6 a.m. Confirmed the plane took off. Sent a photo to Min-jae of Marcus's boarding pass and empty seat after departure. He didn't come back. Zara returned to work after 2 weeks when her doctor cleared her for light duty. Her hand was still bandaged. Still swollen. But healing. Slowly. The bones would knit back together. The swelling would go down. She'd regain most function. Maybe not all. But enough. She worked one-handed for 3 weeks. Then carefully started using her left hand for light tasks. Building strength back gradually. Min-jae watched her progress without comment. But she noticed things. Her workload had been quietly reduced. Tasks that required 2 hands had been reassigned. No one mentioned it. It just happened. Coffee appeared at her workstation exactly when she needed it. Made perfectly. She didn't ask who was making it. She knew. Her medical bills, which should have been enormous, had been paid. In full. She'd received a letter from the hospital confirming zero balance. When she asked Min Jae about it, he'd simply said, "You were injured because of someone targeting my household. That makes it my responsibility." She'd argued. He'd ignored her. The bills stayed paid. 6 weeks after the incident, her bandage finally came off. The scarring was minimal. The swelling was gone. Her hand worked. Not perfectly. Her grip was weaker. Fine motor control in her left hand would always be slightly compromised. But it worked. Functional. Enough. She was in the kitchen when Min Jae found her. Flexing her hand carefully. Testing the range of motion. "How does it feel?" he asked. "Different. Weaker. But okay." She looked at him. "Thank you. For paying the medical bills. You didn't have to do that." "Did have to. It was my responsibility. It was Marcus's responsibility. And I made sure he understood that." With interest. She almost smiled. 16 bones worth of interest. Precisely. They stood there in comfortable silence. Something had shifted between them over the past 6 weeks. Not employer and employee anymore. Something else. Something neither had quite named yet. "I got you something," she said suddenly. Pulled a small wrapped package from her apron pocket. "To say thank you. Properly." "Zara, you don't." "I do. Please. Just take it." He unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a book. First edition Korean poetry. One he'd mentioned months ago in passing. Something about finding beauty in broken things. He stared at it. How did you find this?" "I've been looking for 2 months. Finally found it at a bookshop in Insadong last week." She smiled. "You notice things about people. So do I. This is expensive. You didn't need to. I wanted to. You broke someone's hands for me. The least I can do is buy you a book." He looked at her. Really looked. At this woman who'd survived violence and fear and still chose kindness. Still chose thoughtfulness. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I'll treasure it." "Good." She started to turn away. He caught her hand. Gently. "The healed one. Zara." She stopped. Looked back. "If you ever need anything. Not just protection. Anything at all. You tell me." "Understood." "Why?" "Because you deserve better than what you've had. Better than being hurt and afraid and alone. And I have the means to provide better. So I will." Something shifted in her expression. Softened. "That's the kindest thing anyone's ever said to me. Then people haven't been paying attention." She laughed. Small but genuine. "You're very unexpected, Mr. Kong." "Min Jae. Call me Min Jae. We're past formalities." "Min Jae," she repeated. Tested the name. "All right. But only if you stop thinking of me as just the housekeeper." "I stopped thinking of you as just the housekeeper the moment I saw those bruises on your wrist." "What do you think of me as?" He was quiet for a moment. Choosing words carefully. "Someone I want to keep safe. Someone I want to know better. Someone," he paused. "Someone worth more than you've been given credit for." The air between them changed. Became charged with something neither could quite name. "I should get back to work," she said finally. Voice slightly breathless. "Yes. Of course." But neither of them moved. "Min Jae." "Yes." "Would you," she stopped. Started again. "Would you want to have dinner sometime?" "Not here. Not work. Just two people having a conversation. He smiled. Actually smiled. I'd like that very much. When? Tonight? If you're free. I'm free. 8 o'clock. I know a place. Quiet. Good food. No expectations. Just dinner. Just dinner, she repeated. I can do that. Dinner became 3 hours of conversation that felt like 3 minutes. They talked about everything. Houston and Seoul. Growing up poor and growing up in a criminal empire. Dreams and disappointments and the weight of expectations you never asked for. She made him laugh. Actually laugh. Not the polite social laugh he used in business. Real laughter that came from somewhere genuine. He made her feel seen. Not as a victim. Not as staff. As a whole person with thoughts and dreams and value beyond her job or her trauma. This is dangerous, she said as they walked back to his car. Soul glowing around them. Whatever this is becoming. Why dangerous? Because you're you. Powerful. Connected. Living in a world I don't understand. And I'm just a woman who survived violence and still chose kindness. Who works harder than anyone I know. Who's stronger than she gives herself credit for. Who makes me want to be better than I am. He stopped walking. Turned to face her. Don't diminish yourself. I wasn't. You were. You said, just. There's no just about you. She looked at him. At this dangerous man who'd broken someone's hands for her and was now being impossibly gentle. I don't know how this works, she said quietly. You and me. If there even is a you and me. Neither do I. But I'd like to find out. If you want. No pressure. No pressure. No expectations. Just us. Figuring it out together. At whatever pace feels right. And if it doesn't work. Then we tried. And we'll still be, he paused. I hope we'll still be friends. But I'd like the chance to see if we could be more. She took his hand. The one that had gestured for Park to break Marcus's bones. The one that signed orders that probably ended lives. The one that was now holding hers with impossible gentleness. I'd like that too, she said. He smiled. Good. They stood there on a Seoul street at midnight. A mafia boss and his former housekeeper. Two people from different worlds who'd found something unexpected in each other. Something worth protecting. Something worth trying for. Zara didn't work as Min Jae's housekeeper anymore. She'd transitioned to something else. Something that didn't have a name. She managed his household still, yes. But also attended business meetings. Offered opinions on decisions. Became someone he consulted on matters both professional and personal. His organization accepted her because he made it clear she was untouchable. Off limits. Under his protection in ways that went far beyond professional courtesy. They lived together now. Not officially, she still kept her apartment, maintained her independence. But most nights were spent at his place. In his space. In his life. Your hand, he said one morning over breakfast. Caught her flexing it unconsciously. Does it still hurt? Sometimes. When it rains. Or when I use it too much. She looked at the faint scars on her knuckles. But it works. Mostly. That's enough. I'm sorry it's not perfect. Perfect would mean Marcus never hit me. This, she flexed her hand again. This is just a reminder that I survived. That someone cared enough to make sure he never did it again. I'd do it again, Min Jae said quietly. If I had to. Break his hands. Worse. Whatever it took. I know. That should probably scare me. But it doesn't. No. It really doesn't. She smiled. I think that says something about me. It says you understand the difference between violence for violence's sake and violence for protection. There's a difference. Is there? I think so. I hope so. They sat in comfortable silence. Morning light through windows. Soul waking up around them. I love you, he said suddenly. Not planned. Just, true. She looked up. What? I love you. I've been trying to find the right time to say it. The right moment. But there's no right moment. There's just, he gestured vaguely. Now. Truth. I love you. Zara set down her coffee. Stared at him. You can't just say that over breakfast. Why not? Because it's casual. It's huge. You don't drop that kind of bomb over coffee and toast. Would you prefer I said it somewhere else? I'd prefer you mean it. I do mean it. Completely. I love you, Zara. I've loved you since you stood in that warehouse and watched me destroy the man who hurt you. Since you bought me that poetry book. Since you started making my coffee exactly right without me asking. Since you laughed at my terrible jokes and called me out when I was being unreasonable. I love you. Her eyes were wet. You can't just. I can. And I did. And I'll say it again if you need to hear it. I love you. I love you too, she said. Voice breaking. Even though you're dangerous and powerful and occasionally terrifying. Occasionally. Frequently. But I love you anyway. You broke someone's hands for me. You protected me when no one else did. You saw me. Really saw me. Not just the trauma. Not just the job. Me. She wiped her eyes. How could I not love you? He stood. Came around the table. Pulled her up. Kissed her. When they broke apart, both were smiling. We're doing this, she asked. Really doing this? We've been doing this for months. I'm just making it official. Official how? However you want. Relationship. Partnership. Whatever label feels right. I just want, she paused. I just want to be with you. However that looks. Then that's what we'll do. They stood there in morning light. Two people who'd found each other through violence and fear. Who'd built something strong out of broken pieces. Who'd learned that sometimes the most brutal protection could become the gentlest love. Later that day, Zara's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. But something made her. Hello. Heavy breathing. Then, I'm coming back. Marcus's voice. Slurred. Drunk. Desperate. I'm coming back for you. You can't hide behind your. Zara hung up. Looked at Min-jae who'd seen her expression change. Marcus, he asked. Yes. What did he say? That he's coming back. Min-jae's expression went very cold. Very calm. The calm of a man who'd just been given permission to finish something. He made one phone call. Spoke in Korean. Ended with, find him. Tonight. I want to know exactly where he is. And then I want him to understand that I don't give third chances. He hung up. Looked at Zara. I'm sorry, he said. I thought he understood. Apparently he needs another lesson. Min-jae. This time I'm not breaking his hands, Zara. This time I'm making sure he physically cannot come back. Ever. By any means necessary. You're going to kill him. I'm going to make sure you never have to be afraid again. If that means killing him, he paused. Yes. She should be horrified. Should tell him no. should remind him that she didn't want blood on her hands. But she looked at her scarred left hand. At the life she'd built here. At the man who'd protected her so fiercely. Okay, she said quietly. Okay. Do what you need to do. I trust you. Whatever happens, I trust you. He pulled her close. Held her. He won't bother you again, he promised. I swear it. He kept that promise. Marcus Davis's body was found 3 days later in Los Angeles. Apparent suicide. Gun in his hand. No witnesses. No evidence of foul play. Just a man who'd finally understood that some debts can't be outrun. Zara cried when she heard. Not for him. For the girl she'd been who'd loved him before he'd shown who he really was. Min Jae held her. Said nothing. Just held her. And when she was done crying, he said, "You're safe now. Really safe. Forever. I know. I love you. I love you too." They stood in their home. Seoul outside. The world continuing around them. Two people who'd found each other through the worst circumstances. And built the best life. Together. Some men protect with words. Others protect with warnings. But when someone you love is hurt, sometimes protection looks different. Min Jae didn't raise his voice. He didn't make threats. He simply made sure Marcus would never raise his hands again. And Zara? For the first time in her life, she didn't have to fight alone. If this story moved you, support the channel by liking and subscribing to AfroKorean Story Vault. And tell me in the comments. Was his reaction justice? Or was it too far? I'll see you in the next story.